At the time, I remember I did not have any real contacts in the London industry because I'd been out of the film industry for many years. And when I had been in the film industry, it was in New York. So I didn't know anyone. And it was a producer I met through a Facebook group who said, there's a shortage of script supervisors in London. Consider doing that. And somehow I found you. I hadn't script supervised since the early 90s. And honestly, I did, I probably script supervised 2 short films in the 90s. That's it. And then I moved into producing. So my experience in script supervising was minimal, but I loved it. And I took the lessons of continuity with me as a producer, as a screenwriter, as a director of short films, etc. And when that producer said, "Hey, there's a shortage of script supervisors," and I was in a hurry to get back on set, but not as a producer, I thought, well, that sounds fun. And so that's how I came to you and took the class, retrained, and it was like re-waking up all those little gears in my brain that I had used way back when. And it just felt like coming home in a way. It was such an intense process of learning. The workflow was a big one for me. Because like I said, I had done it in the 90s with a Polaroid and a ring of Polaroids around my belt and pens on a chain around my neck. And so I didn't know how you would do it in the digital age. And just getting that sense of workflow was a really big deal for me because otherwise, I think I would have been absolutely terrified going to my first assisting job or my first script supervising job because I wouldn't know where to begin. But also just there was one point where you had us watch a scene and we had to keep track of where the cigarettes were and where the hands were going. And I was like, oh boy, yeah, that part of my brain hasn't woken up yet. I really needed to work on that. So it was really great to get an opportunity to do some continuity work in real time on an actual movie, because otherwise, where do you practice it? Like you watch your family and you keep track of who's sitting where. I didn't know how to do it. So that was really useful as well. So after I graduated, I think the first job I got, it was unpaid. I was an assistant script supervisor on a video game. And it was just a script supervisor who wanted an assistant. And it was a really great experience just to get into the flow of things and see what it's like. And then I went from that to a short film and did a couple of short films. And I kind of got a reputation as being a veteran who could help newbie directors. And for a while, I kind of did that. And I wound up actually script supervising an Academy Award nominated short film, The After. But the reason that producer hired me is that she'd heard from another producer that I understood continuity at a really deep level that a newbie director really needed. And then after that, honestly, I wound up for a while, I became the script supervisor that got hired when the previous one got fired. Because to be honest, I think there were, because of this was the tail end of the streaming boom. And I think there were a lot of people going into script supervising without experience, without the knowledge. You really have to have a deeply embedded understanding of editing, the grammar of editing, the grammar of cinematography. And then I was main unit script supervisor on Matthew Vaughn films and whatever else came my way. My goal when I started script supervising was to do it sort of half time, 6 months out of the year, so that the other 6 months of the year could be for writing screenplays. And that worked out brilliantly for about 4 years. I've written a ton of screenplays. I've got a whole bunch of stuff in development at various places. But I was able to continue working, getting paid. And also, I just loved the experience of being on set. As a director, there's nothing better than having a front row seat with a variety of directors to see how they work and, most importantly, what they get wrong. Because every mistake that I've witnessed as a script supervisor is one I'm not going to make. Honestly, I've only taken one class in script supervising, and it was yours. And I wish I could remember why I chose yours, but I was definitely very impressed with your resume. And I think that's the most important thing. Your knowledge is so deep and so broad, and you can't fake that. I recommend to everybody who's interested in being a script supervisor, which seems to be like every third person I meet on set, honestly, I always tell them to take your class because it's great that you can do it online. And I just feel like you can't fake that level of expertise. And you're a really good teacher. It's fun to take it with you. I enjoyed every minute of that class. It was really fun. And it's hard work. It's not like it's easy to learn this stuff, but it's really enjoyable. And that class really changed things for me. It was really amazing. And I've really loved being a script supervisor.